Hi ladies and gentlemen, Krzysztof the Polish Geek, and welcome to the review of the final season, Season 3 of Blood of Zeus. And this Season 3 of Blood of Zeus was just epic. It was, well, I'm tempted to say perfect, but objectively it wasn't really, because it did also feel pretty rushed, kind of like Season 2 before. We'll get to that later. And the last episode was certainly epic and spectacular. There were some things to be desired. I really wish that the show resolved, but we'll get to it later. First though, overall it was epic, amazing, and I really loved it. And now Blood of Zeus is officially one of my favorite Netflix shows. In fact, I'm tempted that maybe if it actually was slightly more developed and had more seasons and episodes, then I think it would probably even be better than Castlevania, honestly. So, but I guess because of those things, I'm still debating if Castlevania is my favorite Netflix show or Blood of Zeus, but either way, I really love Blood of Zeus. And Season 3 was an amazing finale, and again, still not perfect, and we'll get to why. But the first thing we have to start is the most common thing, and that's the animation. The animation of Blood of Zeus still doesn't fail to amaze me. Like, the landscapes are all beautiful and all that, and it's so well drawn. Yep. The animation is amazing, and I was already amazed by the spectacular animation of Season 2, but I think that animation of Season 3 is even better. So yes, the animation of Blood of Zeus is gorgeous. And Season 3 of Blood of Zeus pretty much opens with where Season 2 left off, which is Gaia releasing Typhon, Kronos, and the Titans, and to unleash hell upon Greek pantheon. And Kronos didn't fail to disappoint. He was a really evil, calculating, and maniacal villain that I very much hoped he would be. So yes, Kronos as an evil villain didn't fail to disappoint. And Typhon, on the other hand, and this is one small nitpick I have with the show, is that it did feel like his design was a little simple, it's I guess understandable, because Typhon, as described in Greek mythology, he was just like this scary monster completely beyond any imagining, so I guess I can somewhat understand why did they simplify his design, but they could at least made him bigger, because he was really no bigger than all the other Titans. But I do wish he was bigger. I mean, like, because all the Titans were very much giant and towering over the gods, which very much made sense, but Typhon was the same as the rest of them, even though I really wish he was just like much bigger, because it's the way described in Greek mythology, it's like his arms, like one was literally able to reach the east horizon and west horizon, so, and his head, he was able to literally reach the stars. So yeah, he's still giant, but he probably should be twice as giant. But oh well, I guess it was easier for the animation's sake, so I guess I can go with that. But yep, Kronos, on the other hand, as I said, was all I hoped he would be. He was exactly evil and maniacal and calculating as I very much hoped it would be, and all the scenes with Kronos are excellent. So yes, the first few episodes of Season 3 of Blood of Zeus are very much about Kronos releasing all the other Titans, and then very much plotting to defeat the Olympians once and for all. And then later though, that's when Hieron and his brother Seraphim take the spotlight, and that's when the show gets even better. Like, the brotherly dynamic now between Hieron and Seraphim is simply excellent, because yep, Seraphim is very much practically a hero now at this point, because I said that in Season 1 Hieron was a good guy and Seraphim was a villain, and then in Season 2, that's when Seraphim became really more of an anti-hero of his own story, really, and now I'd say he's basically a full hero now, even if there are still plenty of disagreements between him and Hieron, and I think their brotherly dynamic is simply excellent, and possibly even the best part of Season 3 as a whole. I just love the character development between the two brothers, their character interactions, all that. This is simply excellent, and I also really love that Alexia gets some more chances to shine here, because in Season 2 she was pretty much relegated to just like a supporting character, and sure, she did get spotlight when she defeated Talos, but that's pretty much the only moment she shined. Here though, I say she actually played a bigger role, actually, and big spoiler alert, yes, she does kind of have romance with Heron, and I thought their chemistry was excellent. I kind of wanted them to be in a romance, and season 3 was basically my wish come true, and their chemistry was great. So yes, I'm really also glad Alexia got more chances to shine, because she's actually one of my favorite characters from the show. However, that will also bring us to some of the flaws in the show, mostly the very final episode. But first, the first thing we have to say is that, as I already said, season 3 did also feel pretty rushed, and it did feel like a story for 2 seasons, kind of like season 2 before it, and it's natural because the writers intended to write 5 seasons, but with what Netflix is doing, they basically only got a chance for 3 seasons, which I don't blame the writers. I mean, it's Netflix, and honestly, the writers actually did the right thing, because they still decided to complete the story with the limited resources they got from Netflix. I mean, like, if they did try with the original plan of 5 seasons, who knows, maybe Netflix would completely cancel the show without any satisfying finale, so we probably should be thankful for it. But the last episode, and now we're getting into gigantic spoiler territory, so get ready. If you haven't seen the finale yet, and you likely have not, then please leave now, because I'm gonna spoil a big ending. So, be warned, spoilers. But if you're still with me, let's go ahead. So, the finale is admittedly pretty predictably the final battle between the Olympians, with Heron and Seraphim on their side against the Titans. And that final battle in itself is epic and spectacular, and like, every action scene is so amazing, well drawn and well choreographed, and that, so yes, the final battle with the Titans is spectacular, excellent, and very, very epic. But the resolution, though, after the final battle is when we are going with my major gripes and flaws with this finale, which is overall satisfying, but not quite perfect, unfortunately. And that's because it seems like there are still lots of things left up hanging, like, right before the final battle, Heron kisses with Alexia and they confess their love for each other, and that was a really amazing scene, and I really was happy. But then during the actual final battle, Heron has visions of his potential future life with Alexia and their child, and then, a very gigantic spoiler, but I already warned, gigantic spoiler, Heron dies during the final battle, and as does Seraphim. And then after the final battle, we have like Zeus making a speech to the Olympians, honoring all those who have perished. And I really wish that we got a lot more scenes of all the characters and where they're at. Like, first and foremost, Gaia is actually the one that released Typhon and the Titans, but she only appears at the very beginning of the story of releasing them, and then she completely disappears from the story and isn't even mentioned. I find that, like, I mean, she's the one that technically released the Titans. There should be some consequences, repercussions, or maybe at least show up and tell to the Olympians that she's giving them one last chance, at least, anything. But no, it's just like after releasing the Titans, she just completely disappears from the story and doesn't ever return, which didn't make me happy. But then also, and that's personally even a bigger problem for me, admittedly, because I really love Alexia. I think she's a great character, but after Alexia kisses with Heron, that's actually her last scene in the entire show. I mean, like, she does later give him a shield right in the beginning of the final battle, but that's just like to offer moral support for Heron, and then disappears from the story entirely. Like, they should at least show her what her life is now that Heron is dead. Maybe, like, considering that that Heron does have a vision of his potential future life with her and their child, of maybe herself pregnant with his child, like, maybe we could, like, maybe, yeah, there could totally be a scene of, like, Alexia being pregnant with Heron's child and just, like, tell the kid that his father was really brave or something like that. But yeah, she totally deserved, like, a resolution to her story and what happened to her. Overall, oh, and there's another problem. Like, in one of the early episodes, Hades actually very much hides his children from the Titans because he's worried about their safety, but the children actually don't show up either, actually. It's like they're completely forgotten after that scene, so maybe they could at least be shown standing with the gods and listening to Zeus' speech, like, I don't know. But yes, while the ending in the finale was great and satisfying overall, I do wish they didn't leave so many characters in balance. I really do wish they showed what happened to all the characters. And as I said, while the fact that this show is only 3 seasons, I believe, Netflix, I do think that there's no reason why the writers couldn't make the final episode 15 minutes longer at least, because the final episode is 32 minutes. In fact, when I saw it's 32 minutes, I was already a little worried, and I was right. The final episode need 40 minutes at least, or maybe even 50, like most show finales anyway. But yes, the final episode did at least need to be at minimum 10 minutes longer, probably more than that, but 10 minutes longer at minimum. And now the final thing I want to say though is that the very final scene of the show though is so excellent and emotional, and it literally made me cry. Actually, I had some tears in my eyes. That's how emotional I got at the final scene. But the final scene is amazing, and it perfectly fits well with the show. What I love about it so much is because, another gigantic spoiler alert, is that Heron and Seraphim reunite with their mother in Elysium, and she literally hugs both of her sons. And this scene, as I said, was so emotional, but also so simple. And that's actually another thing I love about it. In addition to being so emotional and actually giving me a little bit of tears in my eyes, what I love about it is that it's just so simple compared to everything that happened before. These sons just sacrificed their life to defeat the Titans, to rescue the Greek pantheon. They basically sacrificed their lives to rescue the world, you could argue, basically. And after everything they went through, and yet now they're just two happy young men who are just happy to be reunited with their beloved mother. And that's actually what makes this scene so amazing, in addition to all the emotion. That it's just so simple and yet so fitting and perfectly in line to everything that happened before. As I said, Heron and Seraphim just went through such a tough time and such tough tribulations, and now they basically completely sacrificed their lives to rescue the Greek pantheon and defeat the Titans. And now they are just two emotionally young men who are just happy to be reunited with their mother, and then they ask her for forgiveness and she hugs them both. And this is so amazing. It's just so simple and yet so fitting with the story. It's literally one of the best final scenes to any story. It's so simple and yet so powerful and satisfying. I loved it. But overall, Blood of Zeus Season 3, I wish I could say it's perfect, because it's now one of my favorite Netflix shows easily, and probably the best show ever about Greek mythology as a whole. It's so authentic to Greek mythology, just clear that the writers very much know and love Greek mythology. Kind of like me, actually. I also very much love Greek mythology, but yes, I wish I could say it's a perfect finale, because Blood of Zeus now is officially one of my favorite Netflix shows, but all the things, especially some of the plot threads left hanging of some of the characters, prevent me from saying it's a pure perfection, because it's unfortunately not. But it's still an epic and satisfying finale, and I love it so much. And I'm very much hoping now that the writers do bring their plans into reality, because they were talking something about the Medusa spin-off actually. So now I'm very much hoping that they bring those plans into reality, because I totally want to see what more ideas they have for spin-offs and all that. But again, Season 3 of Blood of Zeus is epic and almost perfect. If they only showed us, if only the last episode was 10-15 minutes, 10 minutes at minimum, really longer. But other than that, I'm overall very happy with Blood of Zeus finale. And thank you everyone for checking out this video. Press the like button, please subscribe to this channel, and I will talk to you soon in another video. Talk to you then, bye!